Hello, everyone, and good day. Dan Manson7, that's right, Dan the Man with the Plan is here to stay. Welcome to another installation in the My Intro 2 series. If you don't know what that is, welcome to the channel. Glad to have you here. This series, or mini-series, is going to cover most of the fighting games I've played and how I've been introduced to them. Today's topic is going to be Street Fighter. Street Fighter is something I got interested in during the wonderful year of 2013. That was a whole year after a game released known as Street Fighter Cross Tekken. I would go on to buy this game for my PS Vita, and I played for probably a day before I stopped. Now, what initially got my attention in this game was the opening sequence it had. As a kid, the music captivated me, and I loved the art direction that it went for the opening movie. Watching the opening movie, I instantly fell in love with characters such as Jin Kazama, and as a result, I ended up playing Jin most of my time, but we're going to save that for the Intro to Tekken video, and instead we're going to focus on the Street Fighter aspect of my experience with the game. Eventually, I returned to the game about a month later and found new excitement in the game. Not only did I finally learn how the game works and understood the mechanics for it, but I found new excitement in playing characters like Ryu and Ken. Well, specifically Ken, and then eventually Sakura as well. So my tag team was Ken and Sakura, at the time of me finally understanding how the game works. For some reason, I was never able to wrap my mind around light punch, medium punch, heavy punch, and light kick, medium kick, heavy kick. And I think it was the fact that since playing on the Vita, it was a little bit more difficult since they only had the one R and one L button instead of R1, L1, R2, L2. And because of that, the heavy kick was automatically tied to the left trigger instead of R2 like on a regular PlayStation controller. But they used a very important feature of the Vita, the touchscreen. The touchscreen allowed for smaller micro combos to come out, such as light medium heavy punch or light medium heavy kick strings. They even made EX moves a little bit easier for me, considering how pressing square and triangle, or triangle and R, or square and R, was unheard of for me at the time. Eventually I did end up playing online and found out just how bad I really was at the game. I was able to win maybe 1 or 2 games before I stopped playing the game altogether again, eventually forgetting about it. Fast forward to the year of 2016, and my enjoyment of Street Fighter would once again be sparked. Being in high school, one of my closest friends invited me and another one of my closest friends over to his house. He had just gotten Street Fighter V the day of its release and wanted us to hang out and play the game together. Me, being semi-familiar with Street Fighter, was instantly drawn to Ken. So I played him in the very small release roster that everyone complained about, and I had tons of fun. Playing Ken and beating both my friends with him, not all the time, but you know, being beginners at Street Fighter and all, it was still a lot of fun since we all didn't know how to play the game. Fast forward another 3 years to 2019, and I finally decided to join the fun and engage in Street Fighter as well, and bought the game for myself. This is also a while after my initial peak interest in fighting games. The reason it took me so long to get into Street Fighter V specifically was because of the hate it got on release, and it wasn't until it got more of the updates, such as the arcade edition, that I decided to go ahead and purchase the game. Automatically, from me first getting the game, I obviously wanted to get as much of the DLC as I could to enjoy as much of the game as I could, as well as find a main among any of the characters that have been released. I never learned much about the game my first time playing, but over time as more DLC came out, I eventually stumbled across one of my mains, Seth. I knew absolutely nothing about Seth when he was announced, nor did I know about him after the fact when I ended up playing him. But I enjoyed his combos, and he had a lot of moves that I really enjoyed using. I'm gonna be honest with you, the main reason I picked up Seth is because his quarter circle forward punch special looks a lot like Dio's Muda 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 punches from the very old JoJo's fighting game. Eventually, I took to training mode with him, as well as the challenge trials, to try to learn as much about his tandem engine of his, as well as to know about how this character works. I found that I was really good with Seth, and eventually I was able to go online with him and win some and lose some, but no matter what, I still had fun with the character. I ended up pulling away from the game, but what brought me back was the inclusion of the final version of the game, the Champion Edition, and the inclusion of the Season 5 DLC. While the last set of DLC characters didn't have characters that necessarily got me extremely excited for the game, I still wanted to play the game after the DLC was announced. It helps that I have a friend who's around my level that also really enjoys playing Street Fighter, so as each DLC came out, we would play the game together. We eventually started a dojo featuring 11 as the focus point of our dojo as a joke, because we would use 11 to fight each other a lot, since he would morph into characters and we wouldn't know who we got until the second the fight started. All in all, after the 5th season of Street Fighter ended, we both ended up putting away Street Fighter for quite some time. The announcement of Street Fighter 6 was what eventually got me extremely excited and put me back in the mood to play Street Fighter again. I started watching more Street Fighter gameplay and improving, and while I still had a long way to go, I'm not giving up until I reach a higher level. I don't really have people to train me on this, such as in Tekken, but I am doing my absolute best to reach the top. Thank you everyone for watching another video of mine, and thank you for showing me your support by staying tuned until the end of the video, and I hope you stay tuned for more. I know this was one of my shorter intro to videos, but the length of the video will typically relate to how much I have to share about my introduction to the series, and I guess my Street Fighter journey was just not as long as I thought it was. But even still, it feels like it's been a century to me. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, and let me know something in the comments below. And if you like this content, go ahead and click the subscribe button. With all that being said, I hope you have a wonderful day, have a fantastic week, and don't forget, may your heart be your guiding key.